For this down dog, we're gonna modify it that way we can stretch out the Achilles and the calf a little bit more. So for starters, what I want you to do is get into a tabletop position. Once you get into your tabletop position, I want you to be really mindful of where your hands are so that instead of being forward of your shoulders like this, they're either directly underneath your shoulders or preferably they're about 1 inch to 1.5 inches behind your shoulders. Now, the reason why is because what we're gonna do next is we're gonna lift our knees up off the ground and we're gonna slowly start to bring our hips back. Now, knees are gonna stay bent and I wanna find a comfortable position with this. But the first thing that I'm gonna do once I'm in this position, instead of setting up for my down dog, I'm gonna think about trying to drop my heels more. So when I'm in this position, I drop my heels and really think about trying to drive into the balls of my feet. That way I can feel that stretch in my Achilles. Once I get to this position, then I'm gonna start to shift my hips back, not lift my hips up. So the difference is, when I'm in this position here and I lift my hips up, notice how my heels actually rise. If I try to keep my heels down and I lift my hips up, my heels still are going to rise. So what I have to think about instead, I have to think about shifting my hips backwards in space. Notice how that allows my heels to drop even more. So from here, once I drop my heels into that position, then I'm going to shift my hips back, slowly starting to stretch through. Now, once I get to this type of placement, that's when I'm going to keep my heels where they are and just try to stretch through my knees, then bend again. So, stretching through my knees, bending again. When we do this exercise, we really want to think about trying to focus on that Achilles area more than anything else. If you're not getting a great stretch in your hamstrings, that's okay. We just want to focus on this area. So the big keys with this one are, once you set up, make sure your hands are slightly back from your shoulders. Lift your knees up off the ground, and then once you lift your knees up off the ground, think about taking those heels and trying to drop them towards the floor as much as you can. Feel that stretch in your Achilles before you move on. After that, shift your hips back, but keep the pressure on the balls of your toes and keep that heel moving down, not up. Once you get all the way back into that position where either your heels are on the ground or close to on the ground, that's when you can start to stretch your knees. Not lift your hips, stretch your knees back. So always keeping that pressure on the feet, not thinking about lifting the hips up, just stretching the knees back. And what you're gonna do is you're gonna go into that position and you're gonna think about, once you get locked into that, try to go through 3 or 4 bends and do that twice. So you'll get into the position, 3 or 4 slow bends, thinking about around 10 seconds, 5 down, 5 up. Relax, take a little bit of a break, come back to it, do it one more time.